waiting for my alert.
Right now, you're right?
Yeah, no alert yet for me.
No?
No.
No, the alert is on. Okay, please go to Plus Volleyball and
Okay, yes, I see it. Now, check in. I check in. And then what? Post?
no, there's the stream and you can share on that.
Oh boy, I don't know how to do it.
No
Well,
problem. Okay.
hmm, no, I posted to my one, but I don't see that it's going live. But that's okay. We have it on yours. It's important.
Okay, give me just a few seconds.
Okay, posted online happening now. It says I got 7 friends. Who's this there? I don't see where it says to stream here, but
Okay. Hello, boys and girls. How are you? This is Alejandro Castillo from Mexico City, the largest city in the world. Today is Friday, July the 24th of 2020. This year to forget. I don't know what will happen in the future, but it has been the best year of all. But well, here we are talking about volleyball. Today in the Volley Talks, the episode 80, we have a very special guest all the way from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Hello, Danielle Scott. How are you, five-time Olympian?
hi, Alessandro, and Danielle is just fine.
Great, Danielle. You told me, I think we spoke on Monday, once an Olympian, forever an Olympian. That's right.
Right, once an Olympian, always an Olympian, never formal, never past.
Well, I can imagine if going to one, it's difficult. I can imagine going for five. You are very lucky.
I'm very blessed. And, when I started to play, I never imagined that I would play and have such a long career. Even going to the Olympics was like an idea because I was super shy growing up, but I found sports, and that kind of helped me grow and find some place that I could fit in, right? And so I started club when I was a lot older, and so older, meaning I was a junior and a sophomore in high school. So that's pretty ancient today. However, after joining a club and I started to improve, and so I started to get recruited, then some people said, like, hey, do you think my senior year, you think you might want to play in the Olympics? I was like, oh, Olympics, yeah, that could be something I want to do. And so it's kind of a borrowed dream, but definitely something that came into reality. And each year, when you have goals and things that you like to go after, that elusive goal kept drawing me back, and being in that culture and being in that environment, representing the United States, it's kind of the highest level of play. So I played as long as I could, yes, and I enjoyed my career. I enjoyed the friendships made. I enjoyed flying around the world, getting experience in different cultures. And so now I'm at a point now, I find ways to stay connected.
Well, perfect. We will talk about that, about your travels or your beginnings, your travels, your career, yeah, the national team, the Olympics, Brazil, food, music, everything about that. I'm very honored that you accepted the invite, Danielle. Thanks to Lori Okimura for made possible the connection.
Yes, thanks. Yeah, so she was one of the first interviews that I saw, and that's how I actually met you. And you've got a great line of interviews or conversations that you've had that I definitely want to go back and check out.
Yes, well I try to have here the best of world volleyball. I have had Sinjin and Randy, Karski Rai, Doug Bill, John Kessel, Hugo Conte from Argentina, Cecilia Tait from Peru, Mireya Luis from Cuba, of course, Giovanni Hernandez from Cuba. A lot of people of volleyball trying to to make something, in these difficult times for all of us, and try to keep together all the volleyball community that I have discovered that is smaller than we thought. I think we are very united community, and all the people that came here are very glad and very um, uh, they are willing to share all the experience, and that's great for me. Thanks a lot for being here, Danielle.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's a great time that you are doing this type of platform so that we can share our stories and what we're doing, because I think everyone has a story to share. Rather you're an Olympian or rather you are, working whatever job or profession that you're in. I think we all can connect on different levels with different things, and this is great that we can share with your audience things that we're doing and hopefully touch and impact someone and bring awareness or just connect a little bit more. This is a great time for that.
Yes, I also think that I had well, I want to repeat. You are the eighth guest. He's been an amazing time. You are, I think, I don't remember. You are the 41st or the 42nd Olympian. I have had here players, coaches, referees, statisticians, photographers like Jim Wolf, managers, and physiotherapists. I mean, all these people that makes the volleyball community. Yesterday, I received DJ Ruche, the great DJ from the AVP and the Pac-12 and Olympic beach volleyball in Rio. So I really have spent a great time with all of you guys.
We have to come up with a title for you, the great interviewer. I don't know, the great.
Well, I'm trying not to do this to keep to call. I don't like to call this an interview because when you talk about an interview, you talk about a list of questions. I don't have a list of questions. It's about talking. It's about talking, as I told you, your beginnings, your career, your happy moments, your sad moments, your travel, and that people can know much better Danielle, not only the Olympic volleyball player, but the person. It's that's important for me. And well, again, I really appreciate that you accepted the invite.
But notice I did change it to conversationalist. I said everything.
Right. Yeah. That's great, Danielle. Well, how's everything in Louisiana? How are you dealing with this, with this Corona thing?
Yeah, so everything's like it is everywhere, not normal. But everyone's saying now it's a new norm or whatever. And I think this time is what you make of it. Here in Louisiana, we have, I think, 26 states that has seen a rise in COVID-19 cases. But it's a time where we have more time to well, it hasn't slowed down, actually, I should say, relative to going out and about and doing things, yes. But in terms of the amount of time now that I'm spending on the computer with Zoom and things, it seems my schedule is pretty packed with either from work or doing conversations like ours right now, or trying to find different ways to learn and grow during this time. And so that's what I've been doing. Spending a lot of time with my daughter where she would have been in school, for most of the day. I do have the luxury of being able to go and volunteer with having the flexible schedule that I have. But just spending that time with her, connecting and, trying different things, from even like cooking some different things or playing outside and doing different activities or playing board games. So we spend our times doing that. And then in the times where she just finished, maybe was it Thursday? She just finished. Oh, that was yesterday. Oh my gosh, the time is fast but slow. Yesterday, she finished the last of her 3-week Strong Start program for getting back ready for school, which now our parish has decided we're going to be virtual at least until after Labor Day. So I'm like, yes, because that was my intent, to be virtual for now because there's so much uncertainty, right? But we're doing fine. Been in quarantine mostly. Go out, maybe to go to the store, We enjoy going to like the parade, drive-by parties, like parades, with the friends and cousins. And so that's kind of our interactions. Unfortunately, I've had to allow Juliana a little more time on her devices because, you know, that's one way for her to stay connected with her friends, since we're not going out and interacting a whole lot. So I am grateful for, you know, the Skypes and the devices and the Zooms and the different ways that we can connect now versus when I first started traveling and playing abroad, because we played a lot of money during those times of trying to stay connected around the world or even, you know, locally. So
Yeah, I know it were different times for volleyball and for communication and for technology, of course. And yes, I'm very grateful of these new technologies because they allow us to be here right now, connected. Me in Mexico City, you in Baton Rouge, or some people in Australia or in South America. It's great, and I think we have become uh, experts in Zoom, in Skype, and Instagram Live, things like that. That now that's the new normal.
right, it's definitely it gotten there to make, yeah, this communication has been great with all of those who are technically sound. I'm still learning a lot. I was trying to connect my Facebook to this too to do a live. You know, I said I'm gonna have my first live, not me personally, but connecting through you, and wonk 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 wonk. So I still have to learn a bit more about, you know, these live stream things. But yeah, it's great to be here and great to be able to connect.
Did you have the opportunity to share this to stream, or just do it, please?
I didn't know how to do
In
it.
the Plus Volleyball, if you go to Plus Volleyball page, you can see we are live, and that live you can share it in your profile.
Okay, let's see. Give me a moment here.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Guys, well, I remember you. We are talking with the great, with the living legend of volleyball, Danielle Scott from the United States, five-time Olympian and five-time champion with Long Beach, seven Hall of Fame inductions, two-time Olympic medalist, and a lot more. But especially a great person, very humble. I'm very honored to have Danielle here today.
So maybe watch party, is it?
Yes, yes, that's it.
Oh wow, and voila. Well, we'll see if it's working. And I'm just gonna put my phone to the side so it doesn't echo. Hopefully I
Okay. No, you will start to receive a lot of messages from your friends. Hey, Danielle, I'm seeing you in Facebook. You're live.
okay.
Okay, great, Danielle. So, well, in Mexico, the thing is no different. We are dealing with this coronavirus thing. Well, we hope that obviously the solution is the vaccine. There's no more, and well, I know that there are a lot of work in different parts of the world. So, well, I think the only thing we have to do is to keep faith, to stay home and keep safe, and talk about a lot of volleyball.
Sure. Yeah, I think definitely you can only control the controllables. We obviously do not want to live in fear, but we definitely want to control the things that we can. And that is, you know, make sure we're wearing the mask and doing the social distance and going out when necessary and following what your governing laws and things are within your state and parish and or counties, right?
Yes, of course. And talking about parishes, you live in Louisiana and you were born in Louisiana, right? That's in Baton Rouge. You have always lived in Baton Rouge. Well, besides your Brazilian time, but all the time in Baton Rouge.
Right. So I was born and raised here in Baton Rouge. And age 17, I was recruited away from LSU, which was a big deal because being from here and LSU is such a big part of our community as well as Southern University. The fact that I went away for college was like almost a shock because again, I was really shy. Was really close with my family. Brian Gimelero had to come down and convince my mom because I actually thought I was going to go to, in my mind, I was thinking, okay, well, maybe I'll go to Georgia, University of Georgia, because I could be a starter in both volleyball and basketball. I was recruited for both sports. I actually had some scholarship offers in softball and track and field as well. And so Brian was like, no, 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 you cannot do that. And so he ended up coming down and he told my mom and my dad that I would be in good hands with him. He would treat me as his daughter and take care of me. And that if I wanted to do anything in volleyball, that was the place for me. And plus, they had what I thought I wanted to study at the time, which was physical therapy. They had a great physical therapy program. And so he ended up convincing my mom to let me leave home at 17, go across the way to the other LA, which was, kind of scary during that time because, they had a lot of, although Long Beach isn't directly, in LA, but, we'd only heard about the different gangs and things. So it was a little scary going there. Obviously a culture shock. But I think it was a great move for me, and Brian was true to his word. And what I really loved was the things that he was doing, with his taller athletes. There were other players who looked like me on his team. We had 5, outstanding Black African-American athletes, and so who were all around players. And he helped really develop that part of my game as well. So.
Well, I also remember a very talented African American players in the U.S. team, like the Oden sisters, Kimberly, Beverly, and the third,
Elena.
Elena Oden. Right now, well, with Folu, Kakinadewo, and Rachel Adams, great players. And I remember very well you playing for Long Beach and the national team. You were a very talented player.
Thank you. So Elena, speaking of, she was one of my, she was like my roommate on the trips. So she was one of my mentors on the team. And oh yes, you said people will pop in on my website. Hi, cousin. Like there, she just graduated. She's a doctor now,
Wow.
and she is a minister, apostle, and she's doing great things in transforming and inspiring the world. Yes.
Okay. So, Daniel, in is Baton Rouge or Baton Rouge? Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge, yes.
In Baton Rouge, you started to play volleyball and a lot of other sports. You told me basketball, track and field, softball. You play there a lot of club sports.
So yeah, I played in those sports. Yes, volleyball, basketball, softball, track and field. And so softball and track and field kind of overlapped. But I was able to maybe start one and then go finish off with the other, or vice versa. But yes, I was allowed to do both sports, and I actually continued with 3 sports into college. So my last year at Long Beach State, ended up having to run off to do the 4x1, and I won. And I was actually the anchor, but not because I was the fastest, but because I could hang on to the lead. They're like, okay, we'll get the lead and you just hang on. And I also did the high jump and long jump. Never got the high jump down correctly. I called it the Scott flop because I couldn't get the Fallsbury flop, which I have met Dick Fallsbury. He's the president of our USOPA. And then I went on, to go to the national team. I was invited out after my senior year, where we won the national championship in 1993, and I was player of the year. I was invited out to the national team. And so I that was in 1994. Whew, so long ago.
26 years ago. So that's the moment when you decided to focus only in volleyball.
Well, no, actually, so yeah, I did those 3 through college, and then I joined the national team. I actually had another year of basketball as a redshirt, but I ended up, I had to go. Well, not had. I was invited to go to the national team, and I did. Played in the '96 Olympic Games, and then the WNBA came to the scenes, and I was like, "Ooh, how I'd love to play at home in front of my family. Even if it's just for the summer." And so I trained my first couple of years, and my coach from high school from college, Glenn McDonald, was working with the Sparks. And so I was able to come and train with them the first year. I tried out the second year and I didn't make it. Third year, I went to Portland Fire, and I was named to the training team until they cut me right before the first preseason game. They wanted me to get new stats because at that point I'd been out of basketball for 7 years. And so although my offense wasn't at the highest, I consider myself more of a defensive player. I like to block shots. I love playing defense. I was pretty quick, for my size. But at that point, I decided to stay with volleyball. I'd been blessed to be an Olympian. I didn't want to start all over again. And so that was my sign to put those shoes back up in the closet and continue my career with volleyball.
So with volleyball, were your highest stakes to be an Olympian, or maybe in basketball and softball also you may have the opportunity?
I think my best opportunity was with volleyball. I was blessed to have great coaches and great teammates around who helped me to be better, and had already seen success. So I think volleyball was probably my best opportunity. However, I mean, if I had continued in basketball, who knows what could have happened? I don't know. That's hard to say, but I'm happy with the path that I was blessed to take. And in another life, maybe there could have been an opportunity to do something different. But as it is, I'll take my 5 Olympics in volleyball.
And we are happy you choose volleyball, of course.
Yes, I even tried to play a little bit on the beach. So, and a friend just reminded me on the call the other day, Tom Pestalini. He talked about the 4-person. And in fact, I was going to give you a picture with that, but I couldn't find it. The one that I had was really dark. I played 4-person with Norelco back in '96, somewhere around then.
Wow.
Played on the beach. And then in 2000, I tried to give it a run on the 2-person circuit. It's before they have all the formats that they have now, but played in one Hermosa Beach tournament, I think one Manhattan Beach tournament, and then we played in one FIVB tournament in Spain. And it was really hard to lose to someone that didn't look so athletic or that were going to do great things. But it was really fun time as well. So April Chappell was my partner then.
Who? Even Chapel?
April Chappell?
April
Yeah.
Chapel.
Yes, she has a club out in Las Vegas.
Right.
And a nice brand of T-shirts that she's selling. I like the logos and things that she has on there.
Right. Danielle, we have one message, or the first message of the night, from a very good friend from Mexico, Alejandro Barcenas. He says, greetings to Danielle, one of the best female players in USA Volleyball, and nice job, Alex. Volleyball needs more people like you. No, like Danielle, of course.
No, like you, to get the word out so we can talk and have this. So yeah, that's awesome that you have this platform, and thanks for saying hi.
Hey, guess who recently joined? D3 Collins Parker.
Hey, Deidre. I sent a picture in. I'm not sure if he'll show it, but I think I have a picture where you were my coach back when. I sent some pictures of some of the coaches that I could find. So, hey, Dee, thanks for showing up.
Yeah, well, we're connected with D3 on Facebook, so he recently joined. I hope that she can send a message, of course.
Oh, okay.
Antonio Quispe Chambilla says good night,
Hi, good night.
and Ruth N Nelson, yeah, Danielle Scott fan club.
Yes, Ruth Nelson. So she was, you'll see a picture there too with, I have one of Miss Ruth Nelson and myself, and another she actually sent to me with Ari Salinger, myself, when I played in Japan. And Miss Ruth came out there to visit. And so
Wow.
she shared it with me. So I sent that to you.
Sonia Lynette says, fan from Jude, Hook'em Horns, class of '97.
Hello. Yes.
Ruth Nelson also says, Alex, thanks for having Danielle Scott on your show, and as she deserves so much credit to have competed in 5 Olympic Games with no major injury. Only five-time Olympians in the world. Okay.
Well,
No,
for indoor volleyball in the U.S., yes, I think there's 4 who've done 5 Olympics, and Armanova did 6.
I'm pretty sure of this guy from Russia, Sergei Tetyukin. He played, I don't know if it's 6 or 5 or 6. He was the flag bearer in Rio for the Russian delegation.
Oh, okay.
For sure 5. I don't know if 6. Well, he for sure 5.
Yes.
Sonia Lynette says, "Hey, Coach Nelson."
Oh.
And Sonia Lynette also says, middle blocking goddess.
Oh, thank you. I was really blessed to have a long career. So thank you for watching and supporting throughout that time.
So tell us a little more. How was your time in Long Beach, away from family, playing in this big city like LA, and starring in the NCAA championships? How was that time, Danielle?
Sure. Yeah. So, like I said, going away to like it was like foreign land for me. I feel I was pretty sheltered growing up. At that point, I hadn't gone to any like proms or dances or experienced anything other than my sports, right? So, going to California, fast-paced town, it was really different for me. Like even from the style of dress to just again how fast the lifestyle was there. But when you're leaving home as an athlete, going into to a team, it's a lot different than if you're traveling by yourself. So that was the comfort. I was welcomed into two teams, the volleyball team and the basketball team, and had friends from the start, and so that really helped in my adjustment. And so we had to stay on campus for the first couple of years to get adjusted in. I moved off campus my junior year with my teammate, Nichelle Burton, who was super pivotal in our winning the championship in 1993. I moved off campus with her, and she was my roommate during that time. My first roommate, though, was Antoinette White, who went on to win she was player of the year. 5'7" outside was named player of the year.
And she played beach, right?
She did not play much beach. I think she may have been part of the four-person tour too at some point.
Yeah,
But
I
she
remember that name. I remember that name.
yes, and so she went on to marry an Italian, and she lives now in Italy.
Wow. Great. Hey, we have a message from Teacher Collins. She says, finally able to say hello. Thanks for you for talking with our first five-time Olympian. Definitely a great person and our GOAT.
Oh, thanks, Dee. You are awesome and amazing friend, and at one point, coach as well. And I'm so blessed to still be in contact with you and connected in so many different ways. So I appreciate you, Dee.
I think that she lives in San Diego, right? She's coaching San Diego.
Yes, yes, she lives in San Diego, and right now, I believe she's open. I'm sure she'd love to be on your show. She's open to be uh, for a coach at university. So um, if there are any places out there looking for a head coach, Teacher Collins is open and available for you. So,
Right. Hey, Dietry, Dietry, please be a guest here in the show. I will be very, very, very blessed.
yeah,
Hope you can send me a personal message. So I will be very glad to have Dietry Collins here in the show, of course.
yeah, so middle blocker as well, two-time Olympian, was all world at Hawaii. So I'm sure you already know because you know everyone.
I try to do my best. So, well, you ended college in which year?
1990.
No,
Yeah,
college.
college. I was 1990 was my first year in college.
No, and you ended in '93.
And I finished in 93. It was my last competitive season, but I finished in liberal studies sociology in 1994. Was when I.
Right. And then how did you start your international career? Did you at that time in '94 were considered for '96 Olympics, or it was a long journey?
Right. So I was invited to the national team to train. And so during that time, it was pretty interesting. You had numbers basically 1 through 15 were like the top numbers to be considered for the team. So I was given number 19 when I was invited out. And so I wasn't really a part of the team. I was training, but not quite a part of the team. And so after 3 weeks, I earned jersey number 10. So I was in the top 15. And finally, a part of the squad, if you will, with having the number 10, which ironically enough was Debbie Green's Olympic number.
Wow.
Green was my coach at Long Beach. She was the assistant coach at Long Beach. You know, she trained our setters. And so I ended up getting number 10, and that was kind of like my official welcoming into the fold. And from that point, it was just a matter of making training rosters and travel teams. And not until just before, usually you have to wait until like a month before, you know, after all the big tournaments, once we've qualified, to know who was actually going to be on the team. And so, yes, I was named to the team for the 96 squad.
At that time, the team were training in San Diego, right? Not moved to Anaheim at the time.
Right. We were in San Diego and I lived in La Mesa, not very far. We had not one facility like they do now in Anaheim. There's one place where you can train with volleyball and also do your weightlifting and things. We had what was the federal building. And it was such a shock, like coming from Long Beach, even though it was just a gold mine, the pyramid had not been built yet. But going from there to the federal building, it was an old building, cold, super cold in the winter, hot in the summers. Going to that environment was like, what? This is where our national team played? But of course, you don't complain. You're like, yes, I'm on the national team training. And so, yeah, I was invited out to the team and made the 96 games. And we played at the federal building. It was right in Balboa Park, which is where there's a zoo around. So it was a beautiful area. And the outside was fine, but it was just a very old and unsuspecting facility for our national team. And in fact, Dietrich Collins just posted some pictures of Balboa Park, and it was unrecognizable because it was a long time ago.
Did you have the opportunity in your last years in the national team to train in Anaheim or always in San Diego?
Yeah, so after San Diego, our team moved to Colorado Springs.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yes, yeah. So that was a great facility. You know, we had everything we need there. And even towards the end of our time there in 2000, that era, even the recovery center and everything that they've added to it is an amazing place to train. Excuse me. But they have these really small, what we call the barracks, because it was a USA military base before. And it was really small space that we lived in with two people, sometimes three or four people, to one of those small rooms and shared bathroom down the hall. But I tell you, during the time, and again, not knowing I would be on the team as long as I was, I probably should have invested in property during that time. But you know, it's just when you're training with a national team, you appreciate and you grind and just try to make the teams and travel and represent the United States. You don't really look at necessarily what the conditions were until in hindsight, it's like, wow, how did I survive that for 10 years?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dietrich Collins says yes, no longer at San Diego State University, says Dietrich. And guess who's here? Tara Cross Battle.
She was the first four-time Olympian for the United States.
I know that.
Inspired that, oh, it's a possibility that I can make a fourth Olympics. What? So okay, now it's a possibility, then I can go for a fifth Olympics, even six. I'll do the sixth I just think. But yeah, she was the inspiration for that. And Buffon had made her fifth Olympics that year that Tara did four, made her fifth Olympics. And so again, that was just inspiration that this is something that's attainable.
Well, Tara Cross Battle says, hey, Danny. Hey, Tara.
Yes, hey, TCB in the house.
Well, I will also really love to have Tara in the show. Hope she can or she wants. But
Yeah,
Tara, I will contact you later, okay?
I love it. Yeah, I'll definitely, I can give emails too if they don't mind, at least by email. You can find that on the website. So hopefully she wouldn't mind if I share that.
Okay, great. So, Danielle, let's just remember a little about the Atlanta 96. The USA national team in women's were not so strong, right, at that time
What? We were number one going into 96.
in 96.
96, we were ranked number one. That's right. Above Cuba, even. Yes. And just because, there's a point system to everything. So it's not, there's a lot of things that's relevant, how the youth are doing, how we're doing and scoring in different tournaments. So in 96, we were actually ranked number 1. We were poised to be a medalist for sure, if not even the gold. But, we had some unfortunate crosses sooner versus later. We met Cuba earlier where they didn't have such a good play in their pool. And so we ended up getting knocked out by Cuba, who went on to win the next 3 gold medals.
Yes, of course.
We want to hang on to some sense of something. At least they went on to win the gold medal. We were eliminated by the gold medalist.
In the quarters?
Yes, in the quarters. So we played, the best we could do after that was 5th, and then we lost. And then the best we could do after that was 7th. And so we finished 7th.
Yeah, and Mireya and his team went to win the second gold medal in a row, and they went to Sydney to win the third medal in a row.
Yes, gold medal. Mm-hmm.
And well, not a lot of people remember that they made a bronze in Athens 2004, and they made fourth place in Beijing in 2008. A great legacy, I think.
Yes, great. So I have some friends here popping in. Yuki, she was my setter from in Japan when I played with Pioneer. Hi, Yuki. Bridget Susie, who is Canadian. I remember she was really great player. I don't remember her height, but she was a little shorter athlete, but so powerful and dynamic. So hi, Susie, Bridget Susie.
You see, a lot of people is connecting. That's great.
Yes, wow, Chosen Neldrew, my coach from Osasco. So he was my coach and allowed me. This is right after the libero position came in, and he allowed me to stay in and attack from back row. So I didn't leave the court initially with the libero. He allowed me to stay on the court. Yeah, Alex, hi, my cousin's on there, Joanne. Thank you guys for showing up for me.
Yeah, you told me you played you enjoyed to play defense at that time, right?
I love playing defense. Man, that's just such a great, and of course, middles aren't expected to do much defense, and it wasn't always pretty. An up ball is better than a beautifully, positioned body. But I love throwing myself on the ground and playing defense and just being on the court to celebrate that next play, whether I was involved in it or not. It's just part of the game to be in there in the back row and celebrate whomever has made the point, or even lift up someone if they made an error, to be a part of that.
Yes, of course. Um, did you please tell us the roster, the initial roster at that Olympic Games in Atlanta '86? Do you remember this?
Oh, 96. I have to name everyone. Holy moly. Okay, so the setters were Yoko Zetherlin and Lori Scott. And okay, so sides were Carcross Battle, T. Williams, and Karen Kimner. And I feel like I'm missing one. Then Tammy Liley, she played right and outside, I believe. And then we had middles were Elena and Bev Odin and myself. And Bev and I, man, that Olympics was great. We hung out real tight. Like our at the Olympic Village, we had some great entertainment. Like we had our time that after we trained and after we played, we'd have like an hour or so to go check out the entertainment in the village. And so we went off campus for offsite for Tracy Chapman. It was Kirk Franklin was there entertaining. This is how we do it. Oh, shoot. Can't think of his name. This is how we do it. Who knows it? Somebody help. Oh, shoot.
Okay, here Ruth Nelson is saying Atlanta Olympics, 7th place, 5 black players. Star Cross Battle, Laurie Endicott, Karen Kepner, Christine Klein, Bev Oden, Elena Oden, Danielle Scott, Tammy Webb, or Tammy Lilly, Paula Weishoff, Tonya Williams, Ellen Jones, and Joko Sutherland, head coach Terry Liskevich.
Yes, well, I was getting to it. I got sidetracked when I thought about Bev and I hanging out at the Olympics, in our little downtime. But yeah, so those were the rest of the players.
Oh, thanks a lot, Ruth. Thanks a lot for the information.
Yeah.
Tara Cruz Barrel says Monte Jordan.
Montel Jordan, yes, that's it. So he was there, George Clinton and the Funkadelics. Yeah, that we had some great entertainment during that time. So I just remember that moment. Yeah.
Which your best um, uh, the thing you remember more from the Atlanta Olympics?
Oh, the thing I remember most. Well, there's few things. I think play at home. It was my first Olympics. Being able to play at home in front of all of our fans. I had family come out. My uncles came out. Aunt and uncle came out. Had cousins there. Just all my family who could support our team was able to be there. So that was a fun time. And then a memory that isn't so great was during that time was the Centennial Park bombing, and
Yes.
my dad had just left there, so grateful that he uh, was not affected by it. So that was a big thing, and then just having that first experience as an Olympian, like that was like so huge. Getting to walk in the opening ceremony. That year afterwards, we were invited to the White House each year. Ended up meeting President Bill Clinton was the president at the time. And I don't know why they had these Easter eggs there, but we were told that we're not supposed to hold conversations with anyone, to go up, politely shake hands, and keep going. Well, somehow they have, the big event of an Easter egg hunt on the grounds. And I found this egg, a yellow golden egg. And so I'm like, okay, the next time, and I'll have this as a symbol. I'm going to have him sign it. So I had just a regular ballpark pen. And when it was my turn, I pulled it out against everything that I was told. I was like, can you sign this, please? And he looked at it and he says, oh, you've got the wrong pen. And he took the time to get a Sharpie and he signed it. So
Wow.
that's a fun memory. It's post Olympics, but I still have that. And yeah, and then that is when actually I earned my starting position as well for the team. Was after we had obviously lost for the medal, but we played best for the best finish that we could, and I was able to be a starter in doing that, finishing.
Great, great. Thanks for sharing, Daniel. And what happened next? I can assume that you started your pro career after Atlanta.
Right. So before the Atlanta games, we had to actually stay with the national team for 2 full years. Like we weren't allowed, like today, you can go play abroad and then come back. At that time, we had to stay for the 2 years. And then Terry brought in the reinforcement with, Tara Cross Battle and Karen Kemner and all those players came back to help make our team strong again. And so after that, um, that's when I took a season off to start to try out with the WNBA. So
Okay.
for the years I tried out with the WNBA, and I rejoined our national team. I think it was in the end of '98 for maybe the World Championships. Maybe was my first.
Yes, in Japan was the World Championships in '98.
Right. And so good for you. I'm glad you have those notes. So yes,
Everything's here.
good job. So I don't know. I got to work on what power food must I eat? Some blueberries. And so yes, and I joined the team in back in '98, and we had a really young team. Mick Haley was the coach, which I didn't find a picture with us together. Oh, um, Mick Haley was the coach then, and Toshi Yoshida was the assistant coach. And we had a very young team, all collegiate athletes or just finished collegiate play. And so we had some growth to do, but very good athletic and very good team. But I was one of the few veterans on the team. And then I like to say I convinced Tara to come back to help us. And I remember that there was a tournament for our qualification. It was a game that she was supposed to be able to rest against Mexico. Do you remember this? In Clearwater,
Yes.
Florida. She was supposed to be able to rest. We were supposed to win easily. And here we found ourselves down. And we're like, okay, Tara, warm it up. And she came in and saved the day. And we went on to qualify for those games. Because at the time, we had to use Norseca for our qualifications because Cuba was winning everything.
Yeah. Hey, what do you think about my shirt?
Oh, I love it. Let's see. I see you have the stars and stripes USA. Did you,
Yep.
is that one particular person's number 15?
My
Yeah.
man is Clark, Carson Clark.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
Yeah,
Way to,
the last 7 years, the Pan Am Men's Cup were held here in Mexico. I try to be there all the time, not just as a fan, but helping the national federation, and especially with USA. I always ask to be their team liaison for Team USA. I had the opportunity to meet great people like Ron Larson, Sean Rooney, Michael Brinkley, Taylor Sander in 2013 here in Mexico. Carson Clark, 4 years ago, he gave me this shirt, and I really like the way the USA volleyball program works, really.
yes, that's awesome. So Alice is there. Oi, boa noite, Alice. And my friend, she's like my little sister. So when we would go to Thailand, it was like a second home. We went there several times. Nate, she is in Thailand, and her mom was like my adopted mom. I actually had a picture. If I knew she was signing on, I could have sent you that one too, as I was scrolling through some old photos. But yeah, so hi, Nati.
If you agree, Danielle, we'll go to show some of the pictures you sent to me. I will show them in the order you just send it to me, okay?
I just kind of put him out there. Let's see who we have here. Oh, that's Ty and Wiz with our baby. So I have, obviously, I'm holding my daughter, Juliane. And then there's Ty and AJ and Wiz and Andrew. So Wiz, Elizabeth, was our coach's, and well, our coach's Hugh McCutcheon's wife. And so yeah, that's us right after we've had our babies.
Great.
Yeah, so that's my mom and Giuliani. That's when I played at San Bernardo in Sao Paulo. It's just outside of Sao Paulo. This is a team that gave me an opportunity to play for my next Olympic Games, so my fifth Olympics Games. So after I had my daughter, I went and trained with the USA team for 3 weeks. And that was a time where, there was a lot of doubt that I would be able to make the next games. I was on the last court, and I was told that probably you won't be able to make it to the first court, but being persevering and believing differently, by my last couple of days, Hugh invited me to participate. I don't know, out of respect or just my hard work. I believe it was my hard work to participate with the first team. And then I went off to try to get in better shape and to earn a way back to the team. So that was a team that gave me that start. So I'll forever be grateful for that
For
opportunity.
for London 2012, right?
For London 2012, yes. So that was in 2010. I joined that team right after my daughter. I had my daughter.
How much time did you quit the game?
So yeah, I was actually 4 months when I announced that I was pregnant. So it was after our last tournament. I believe it may have been in Miami. And I go into the locker room and I said, "Well, team, I have something to announce." And Heather Bound just blurts out, "You're pregnant." I was like, "You're at the moment," but yes, you're right. And so I announced then that I was pregnant and ended up having my daughter in April. And so maybe 4 weeks after having her, I was like, I've got to get back in shape. I believe I have more to give. I want my daughter to see me play. And I bought this CD that was called Insanity. And I feel like I must have been insane. I wasn't even fully released to start doing everything yet. I modified some things. And I did this routine called Insanity and got back into shape and ended up getting this team with San Bernardo that gave me a shot to be in shape and to compete and to be prepared to go back in 2011 to train with the national team and give that a run.
Great, great.
Oh, that's at London Games. So what you see my mom holding are the bobbleheads that we all had. And I think I have a picture of all of those as well. So she's holding my bobblehead. So that's my mommy. My mom has been with me throughout my obviously life and career, and so I actually lost my mom. She passed her and lost her battle to cancer in 2015. But
Oh, I'm very sorry, Danielle.
thank you. No, but she's still with me. She's prayed 1,000 prayers, so I know I've got all her prayers covering me. She's looking down on me, and hopefully, I'm making her proud with the things that I'm doing. And she just dropped everything when I had my daughter, and she moved with me wherever I went. In Brazil, when I was in California, yeah, really, really my rock and backbone, as my sister would say.
Right.
Okay, so those are that was in 2012 also. So this should have been like the happiest day ever, right? So we're getting all of our gear and things, and of course I've been through the process of getting our stuff for 4 previous times, along with all the Pan Ams. We go through this process where we get fitted in size. Nothing was fitting, nothing worked. And I ended up being the last one there. I don't know if you look closely, my eyes are like red. I've been crying because I was the last one and nothing was working out right. I mean, it was a mess, but everyone was patient. They waited for me. The lighting was going down, and we ended up taking our team picture almost in the dark, but everything ultimately worked out. And that's me with all of the rings, representing like five Olympics.
Okay, great.
Oh, that's my baby girl. So that's when we were at, I don't know exactly where that was, but I thought it was a fun picture because she's trying to mimic me. We were at one of our tournaments. Maybe it was one of the high performance, and they had the poster there displayed. And so we took the opportunity to do a remake of it.
Do you daughter like volleyball right now or not? Not exactly.
Yeah, so until she was 4, she was saying she wanted to be um, a a 6-time Olympian. Like she wanted to outdo me, right? But then we moved back from playing abroad, and we were here in the United States. She started school, and I put her into ballet and her tap dance and drama. She did swimming and all these different exposures, soccer and basketball. And then finally, I was inducted into the Hall of Fame when she was 6. And it seemed like there was a shift. It's like she didn't want anything to do with volleyball because maybe she realized the things I had accomplished, like kind of what that meant. But as of late, she's been saying she wants to play on a team. So I'm like, first things first, let's start training a little bit. But over the last couple years, at least once a year, I try to put her in a volleyball clinic just to get her some exposure. So yes, hopefully she'll want to play. She's a lefty, so and she's bought into wanting to be a setter. I was like, hey, I think you'd be a great setter. And so sometimes around the house, she'll take the ball and just kind of set against the wall or just set up in the air. And she's like, wait a minute, you don't want me to hit the ball? Everyone wants to be a hitter, right? So she's like, you don't want me to hit? I was like, you can do it all. You can hit. Of course, you want to learn all the skills, but if you were to be a setter, that would be a good thing too. So right now she's buying into it. We'll see. COVID obviously has slowed everything down. So we goof around a little bit in the backyard, but it's not the same as training. And this at this age too, it should be
But
fun.
that could be great that she followed your steps.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to support her with whatever she decides to do. I think she's going to be great at whatever she does. She's really, really a gifted child. I don't know, maybe mother's bias, but like she'll not play her ukulele for the week. Now she's got some songs that she likes, but she'll not touch it for a week, and she'll get in there and it's like, ding, 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 ding. And it's like, what? And then her teacher's like, oh, you're doing so great. I was like, and she didn't even train at all this week. Really naturally gifted at a lot of things, and she's smart. And so, oh, my baby girl, I could go on and on.
Yes.
That's Daddy-O. There's my dad, and he's got the bobbleheads too. So I think the next few pictures you'll see with family holding the bobblehead. So they're in, I think, the training center. No, what is it? The Friends and Family House. That's where all the friends and the family of the competing Olympians go and hang out and connect, and they can watch games and they have food. And in 2012, it was really nice. The P&G house. It was upstairs and downstairs. So downstairs was like the men's cage where they would go and play games. And upstairs they had where you can get your hair done, your nails, like a photo booth. So it was a really fun time. But that's my dad. He's been great through it all. I always tell the story how he must have saw something in me because he would come up to me with his big old camera and like start trying to interview me. I'm just like, get away, Dad. I just want to try to focus here. Yeah, he's awesome.
They were able to go to the Olympics.
Yes, they went to all the Olympic Games with me.
Oh, great.
My last game, and I have my friend Aretha Arzuz from my second Olympic Games. She has gone to all of my Olympics, and she's living in New York now. And then my last Olympics, my sister was there, and you'll see a picture. My sister, my brother, mom, dad, my niece, and one of my great nephews.
Wow, it's great. All the family.
Yes, yes, it was really nice to have them there. Yes, that's my nephew Hunter, my brother's son. And on the side of his head, you can't see it, but he had carved in the side of his head, Scott.
Okay.
And that's my brother, Charles. He's named after my dad. So, like my sister, I call him my little big brother. They're shorter than me, but they're older.
Hey, Ruth Nelson says she, your daughter, has the highest jump for a 10-year-old.
Oh yeah. So last year, I think 2 years ago, she had an opportunity to train with Miss Ruth. Miss Ruth has a program, BYOP, and I'm supposed to give you her information too, so that you guys might want to have her on. She's got a great youth program called
Oh,
Bring
yeah.
It. It's unconventional in that the parents are wanting and have to be involved. And so Giuliani and I were incognito and we did the whole session. And then at the end, she announced to the parents, hey, you guys just had practice with a 5-time Olympian. So that was really fun. And we stayed behind and we took pictures. And so
Right.
this year, in February. It was this year. Oh my gosh, it was this year. In February, there was a high performance tryout and we used the vert to test her jump. And Miss Ruth knows that age, and so if she said that's so, then maybe it's so. But she has one of the highest jumps for a 10-year-old.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, that's where we took our pictures in the photo booth, just being silly there. So that's my mom, my daughter, myself. Natalie is my niece. Okay. I'm not sure exactly where that was, but that's one of the mascots. And just took a
Mm,
picture.
yeah, one of the mascots of London, right?
Yes, it's London. And I think maybe, I don't know if we were just arriving or going somewhere. I don't remember. I should tag these pictures and say where they're from. Okay, yeah, so this is a picture we took with the dream team and my teammates. That's 2012. So this is getting ready to go for the opening ceremony. So at that point, you see all the USA signs and all of the delegates are there. So all the Olympians we gather before. And while people think that we're out watching the main event the whole time, we're actually waiting in a completely separate arena waiting for them to call our country out. So we're actually watching the Olympics from a big screen. The opening ceremonies from a large screen in another waiting area, holding area.
Well, I can see Chris Paul, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, Tyson Chandler,
Yes.
and uh, mm, Christian Ditzen, Christian Harmoro Ditzen,
Good job. I'm going to
uh,
have to use my facial.
Nicole Nicole Davis, and who else?
Well, let me tell you who I see. I see Megan Hodge, Tom, Courtney, Kristen, Nicole, myself, and then, my teammates. We got Jordan in the back and Lindsay, Destiny, Ty, and those things I won't ever forget. Okay, this is a coach's picture that we took. So we got Marv there. We have Hugh and Jill, and there's Karch and Paula. And someone's gonna kill me if the names are leaving me. Next.
Okay.
Oh, that's my family there. So with the headband with the stars mostly in the front is my good friend, best friend Aretha Arzu. And then we have my sister Stephanie and Stefan baby. Yeah, that was the song I was singing for him when he was younger. And there's my niece Natalie and my mom. I don't know where my dad is. He's somewhere walking around.
All of this is London, right?
All of that is London, yes. So unfortunately, in 2016, those are all the bobbleheads. You can go on to the next. For 2016, unfortunately, we had the great flood of Louisiana. And so things weren't digital back then. So I lost a lot of the pictures and things that I had from my previous Olympics. And I've had some from 2008 that was shared with me, but for the most part, I've kind of just taken a picture of the center of the photo that I could save. But a lot of my memorabilia, even as well, was lost in the flood. So, hi Tanya, I see you just joined us, and Sheila, that's my friend Cheryl Weaver's mom. Oh,
It was a huge thing, right? The hurricane.
I'm sorry.
It was a huge thing, the hurricane.
Oh, right. So this actually wasn't a hurricane, it was a flood. So it
Okay.
rained a lot for several days, like inches and inches of water. And so I had actually gone to do business. I work with a company, Primerica, part-time. It's a financial marketing institute. And so I went to a neighboring city about an hour or so out, and I'd taken my daughter to be with my niece over there while I was going to work. And on my way back, she calls in a panic and said, "We had to evacuate. It's raining here. It's flooded, and we had to walk, and commute." At that point, I was only maybe 30 minutes out, so they had to walk in the nasty, flood waters. And so I go and pick them up. And usually my house has been a place of refuge through the hurricanes. We had up to, I don't know, 12 or 17 people staying in our home from previous hurricanes. Well, this time I come back home, I drive up, and we've got this big servitude in the back where it's just, grass and land. And when I looked out, it was filled with water. I said, well, if it comes into my fence, into my property, then that will be the time that I can, we'll have to go somewhere else. But never in a million years did I think that we were actually going to flood. So I talked to my neighbors. I'm like, I don't know that it's ever flooded here. Have you heard anything like that? And they're like, no, in our 40 years, it's not ever flooded. I said, well, I'm just going to be careful just in case. I didn't even put anything up. I didn't take anything. I just took one of the vehicles and I said, oh, this will pass. It won't flood. I come back and you cannot get it even into the neighborhood for 3 or 4 days. It was like the water was so high. So we got maybe 3 feet in some areas, 4 feet in other areas of water, and everything pretty much was ruined and had to do, rebuild.
Wow. Yeah, I heard about that. It was a terrible event.
But
Well,
materials can be replaced, and we were safe. So that's the most important thing. We made it out alive, and those things could be replaced, right? And so now there are all the team and the men's and women's team with our bobbleheads.
yes. Well, I can see my mention Rooney, Russell Holmes, Dave Smith, uh, Paul Lotman. No, Paul Lotman. No, it's more Paul Lotman. But Reed Pretty, Between David Smith and Reed Pretty Who is Brian Thornton, right?
Yeah.
And Matt Anderson, Paul Ottman, Rich Lamborn, Dave Lee,
Mhm.
Clay Stanley, Nicole Davis, Jordan, I think it's you,
Yeah.
Chris, Krista. Yeah, I almost recognize all of you.
Yeah.
Who am I missing?
Who are you missing?
Yeah.
Let's see. I think you pretty much named everyone. There's Destiny off to the left. There's Ty. Tama is kind of peeking over Ty's head.
Okay.
Uh-huh. David Lee.
Yeah, David Lee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's Brian. That's my coach and friend. He, along with three other coaches, they're doing a Volley Masters program where they interview, but they also go around and do coaches clinics. So Brian, Romero, Nick Haley, Ruth Nelson, Bob. Go ahead and give me the name, Miss Nelson. Miss Ruth, go ahead and write the other name. But John Foreman is the host of that
Okay.
one. Yeah. So okay. So now we're going through my coaches. That's Hugh, 96 coach. We're there again. When you see those hats, then that's an indication that it's 2012 and we're getting ready for the Olympic opening ceremony.
Ruth Nelson says Bob Bertucci.
Yes, I couldn't get that last name right. I'm like, oh, well,
Well, hope. Thankfully, we have Ruth Nelson.
yes, I know. Like her mind is incredible. She remembers a lot. So I lean on her enough. And there's Rick Nelson. We're at the airport, so I had a short stopover. She's in Dallas, and I called her up, and we just sat down and caught up while at the airport.
Right. Hi, Ruth.
Okay, that's my coach from San Bernardo, uh, Jose. They call him Zé. Zé Alexander. I don't know the last name. Sorry, and that's Katja. So she is a very good setter. She played a long time with the national team and professionally. So she caught my rhythm really well. And my baby girl, of course, Juliani.
By the way, who was the sir that you play better with her? Can you
Well,
remember?
somehow all the setters seem to find my rhythm. I think I try to work well with the setters and they try to work with me. So I don't know. It's hard to say any one because, once you get that level, everyone is so good, so it's just a matter of training for a bit. But I don't know, Robin, I mean, I probably would name all my setters. So I remember saying specifically to Lindsay Berg, though, like she was one of the few setters who could come in and just set all the athletes, She was able to find all the athletes. But Robin Amos Santos, amazing. Yoko Zetterlin, amazing. There's some setters in Brazil. Gisele was good. Obviously, the phone, I didn't play with her, but I played against her, which she was amazing. I played with for the All Star game, Fernando Venturini. There's a setter from Russia. What's her name? Lefty. She was very offensive.
Mm,
Irina?
Ogienko, no.
Irina something. Irina.
Irina? No, Irina Smirnova, no.
Oh man, I think it was Irina. Was her first name? Oh my goodness! But she was really good, an offensive setter. I mean, there were so many setters I've played with, and sometimes I go back and like, oh, I forgot about that setter. So forgive me if I didn't name you today. You all are amazing.
Right.
Oh well, of course I have to go back to my college setters. Was Joy and Sabrina. Like I mean, there were so many good days. And, sometimes I would go back to Long Beach while Debbie Green was there. I was like, "Can you set me? I want to feel good hitting again." And she would just get out there with her jump sets and lay it up there for me.
This is Hugh, right?
Yes, that's you and his son. And there is my mom. Now, who's in the background? I can't tell who that is. I'm not so sure. There's Deidre. So back in what year was that? Maybe 12 or 13. I the a program with CBS Talent Search started and ended before it got started. I was able to be the color analysis analyst, and so she was the coach of one of the games that they contracted me to go out and cover. So there's Deidre. Okay,
The hammer.
yes. So Jenny Longping and her daughter. So if you haven't seen it yet on Netflix, is it Netflix? No, Olympic Channel maybe is her documentary.
Yes, yes. Last week was premiered.
Yes.
And have you read that she stated this week that she will retire after Olympics?
Yes, I couldn't believe it, but you know what? She's done so much in the sport, and I'm sure she will be involved in some way, maybe coach, for their league or something. I don't know, but she's was such a great influence, and she's done so much for the sport that whenever anyone who's done great things retire, obviously it's a loss and a missing of them in that way. But I'm sure she'll go on and be revered and do lots of great things wherever she decides. I'm telling you, talk about revered. When we went to the Olympic Games in Beijing, it was like paparazzi city. Like it was like Michael Jordan walking into a place. If I'm not dating myself too much by using Michael Jordan as an example, but there were people everywhere. Cameras, video cameras, and we literally had to have a police guard, like escort, to get us through the places that we went when she was around. So during those games, I know there were a lot of people cheering for us. I think part was for us, and part was for for Long Team, for Long Team. But anyway, it was welcomed.
Daniel, which do you think was the impact of Jenny Lamping in the USA volleyball program at that time?
I think she really shaped us in a different way than most coaches. Like her philosophy and her style of coaching was quite different. I mean, even down to the technique of how to pass. But I really appreciate how she helped us to further understand the game. Like we had to talk about and think about the game, and then she would give us, direction. But we really had to sit and talk and think about what we thought was best as we were watching and scouting the different teams and knowing what was best for our squad.
And well, I'm just wondering how difficult was to, well, she comes obviously from the Asian school of volleyball and then going to the American school with the national team. Uh, how do you think did she manage this transition?
Well, she's played all over the world. She's coached all over the world, and Americans adapt very well. So I think with the combination, it worked out well. She was willing. She had a staff support, and then she had players too who some with experience, and just her style allowed, and her personality. Sometimes we didn't know exactly what she was thinking, but it allowed us to grow and be our best. So I think she did a really good job with our team.
Okay, thanks. Petrie Collins says that previous photo it's maybe 2012.
2012. Okay, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I guess this is around the time. Must be 2008 when we were together. She was featured, and then they had as in this magazine.
Is the
And
Chinese version of Sports Illustrated?
yes, that's right. And so there, Robin Amos Santos and myself were also featured with her. So no.
Great. This is previews of the Olympics or after?
I'm sorry.
This was a previous of the Olympics or after the Olympics?
I think it was before the Olympics.
Okay.
And that's me with Karch. At this point, he was the national team head coach. And so this was in 2013. And so I've always said that if you cut me, I bleed red, white, and blue. So this was my beginning of my quest to go for the sixth Olympics. And I'm always excited at any time when I get a jersey, when I get like this was our welcome kind of Bible of our expectations and things. I'm like, can I get a picture? So I was so giddy at, I don't know, 38. How old was I? To have an opportunity to have earned the right to get that book and take a picture as a memory.
Well, I actually have two pictures with Karsh Grai in Anaheim.
Ah.
Well, one in Anaheim, and one the other is in my Facebook profile. I took that photo with Karsh in the World Tour of Beach Volleyball in Rosario, Baja in 2000, year 2000.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, it's great character. He was a guest here, I think, 2 months ago, and great character, the goat.
Okay, this is Zez. So I did not play with him, but I played against him a lot in season or for him. I played with him in season and against him for many Olympics, and throughout my career playing in Brazil. So that's him with my mother. Oh, Sergio. So Sergio Negrão, I played probably 4 seasons with him. So my first year was at Jundiaí when I played with Tar Cross Battle. And so Sergio was the coach there. And then I left and went to Osasco. And then eventually he came there and became the head coach. So that's the second time. And then after 2008, I was contracted to play in Macaé, which is just outside of Rio. I was the coach of that. And then that team. And then my final year, I was in Brasilia, where we have the famous Leila and Ricarda were the owners and managers of the team, and he was the coach there. So 4 of my teams, he was the head coach.
It looks like you spent a great time in Brazil, right?
Yeah, so I spent half of my career in Brazil. So it wasn't all consecutive years, but 10 years I played 2 seasons rather. And I emphasize seasons because they're usually, from 4, depends on where you're playing. Could be 4 months, could be 6 months, could be 8 months. And so I say season for that reason, but 2 seasons.
Let's go back a little because we didn't talk about that. How you start your pro career or the teams or the countries you went before Brazil? You mentioned Japan, right?
Right. So actually, after 96, my first year was in Brazil. Andy and Vice was my agent that year. Oh, no, that is not right. My first year was in Italy, in Paulo Guieri Palavolo or something like that. Guieri Palavolo or something like that was my first year in Italy. And although grateful for the opportunity, it was a horrible experience. Like getting lost. Well, getting lost wasn't so bad, but like car breaking down, trying to do the transit system, getting on the wrong bus that took like 4 hours to get home, didn't receive the salary, so promised lots of money, but didn't receive the salary. Awful experience. So then when I was invited to go play in Brazil, it's like, oh, like totally professional. They had all the t-shirts. I mean, we had to train in Italy. We had to wear our own practice clothes, but in Brazil, I arrived there. They had even these player cards where we signed an autograph. They had towels that we would give out to the fans. All the fans received t-shirts. I mean, it was just like, whoa, this is life. This is how professional is supposed to look. And so then I went to Brazil from there. And I just had agents from that point. After Andy Invice, I was with Rogério Teru, who's a Brazilian agent. And actually, I just spoke with him not long ago, like a couple of days ago. And then I was with another Rogério, I can't think of his name, last name, Pires, Rogério Pires. And then I was also with Donato Saltini. He's a very famous agent in Italy. But now everything's kind of connected. So agents work with each other so that there's always someone present in the country within where you're playing. So that's how I started playing abroad. You know, I had an agent. I started with the national team, which gave me credibility, made the Olympics, and then from there, I was contracted through agents.
And but in how many countries did you play apart from Brazil and Japan? Just those?
Right. So I was actually pretty blessed. A lot of the times that I played multiple seasons in one place or at least within the same country. So I played in Brazil, in Italy, in Japan, and one season in Puerto Rico. And it's funny, the season that I ended up playing there, which ended up being great, played with Alicia Glass and some other great players. We won the championship that year. It was the one year because I always wanted to play after the Brazilian season because it was a short season. I'm like, I want to go play in Puerto Rico. And it never happened. So this particular season, after I was playing in Brazil with Praia Club, they kind of beach atmosphere. It was perfect for my daughter. I had a really lovely church family that I wanted to spend time with afterwards. And this particular year, I was going to stay afterwards instead of rushing back to get home. And I was contracted to play in Puerto Rico. So go figure, right? But it ended up being great. I played in Mayaguez, Puerto Rico, and we won the championship that year.
All right, thanks for sharing, Danielle. We will go back to the pictures. This is Sergio. You told us.
Yes. So now you'll see some the players. I just took some, I guess, some pictures to remember, like some people that I've met. This is Dan, a heptathlete. They do 10, decathlete. So 10, yeah, decathlete. He,
Okay.
the next is Teresa Edwards. They were there to speak with us about athlete services. And so I took an opportunity to take pictures with them and their gold medal. That looks like the 96 gold medal. Well, you know who this is, so you
Ah,
can who you think the people are.
it's Matt Anderson.
Everyone knows. So again, that was 2012. We have that hat. That's always an indicator.
One of my favorite players overall right now. It's great.
I think he's a lot of player favorite for players. You know who she is?
Not exactly.
That is Armanova. She did 5 or 6 Olympics.
Eugenia Artamonova.
Yes, yes. So she's married to Jerry Estevez. He was one of the coaches who trained us in 2000. 2000
Oh, really?
assistant coaches. Yes.
And she lives where, in Russia or in the United States?
U.S. now. They're both in U.S. now.
All right.
Hi, Maurice Deck. Thanks for joining. So this is Layla. You know Layla,
Yes,
right?
of course.
The lefty. Yes. Very loved player of Brazil. And her husband, actually, I might have a picture of him, but her husband was inducted the same year as we were in the same induction class for the International Hall of Fame. Emmanuel, yes. Hi, Logan Tom. That's our Doogie. So Logan's nickname until I don't know when we stopped, but it was Doogie. So back
Yugi.
in the day, yeah, Doogie Howard. There was a TV show of a young doctor, you know, thing. So she was our Doogie. She was like 18 when she made her first Olympic team.
Wow.
Yeah, she's in Israel right now. So she's still playing. She's in Israel. Okay, so on the left is oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. She was just in the Titan Games. Have you seen that show that's out here in the USA? It's a big kind of obstacle uh, course kind of game, kind of like the Ninja Turtles. Um, Shantae, she's got a new married last name, but she's a heptathlete. I have to use facial recognition for the other. There's a Paralympian friend, Carrie. Was this at the White House? I think I was at the White House afterwards.
Paralympian in para volley or other sport?
Volleyball.
Volleyball.
This is Kristen Klein. So I went to Ogana's wedding and I was able to meet up with some friends. So Kristen Klein was a 96 Olympian and she married a NBA player.
Oh, really?
I'm horrible with names right now.
I hope you can remember the name from 1 month to now.
I tell you from yesterday, I'm like, oh, what? So I actually bought this book series about memory. All these steps. I'm like, gosh, I got to create a story, and it really probably would work. But you have to. The idea is to create a story to like the person or the name. But this was like to understand to like do a grocery list without having to remember or refer to it. And it was too complicated. So, but I as you can see, I need to refer back to it and use the money I invested in those books. Yeah, so
This is before. This is Tim Duncan.
Yes, Tim Duncan. Yes, that was 2004. It looks like we have Root clothing.
Wow.
Okay, so this is Gary Temple. He is the brother of a coworker. And we know who this is. And obviously this
Yeah,
was years
the
ago.
great Lloyd Ball,
Yes.
way from Indiana.
My daughter's very young there. But this was at one of the high performance, or maybe opens. I think it was at the opens because I see his example there. So
It's
he's
very
probably
for
one
me.
of
It's very for me. It's very impressive that Lloyd Ball is still playing. With Team Pineapple.
yes. And playing well. Unlike me, I
Yes.
played, but last year I got in for a great game and a half. It was after my incident. And so I was actually player coach with the Exterminators. And so got into play, got my few kills. The coach, the assistant coach, another assistant coach, Dave Bosey, he said, hey, Danielle had the highest stats. Well, I was only set 4 times, but I maximized those. I had a great serve, I had a pancake dig, and then my knee swelled up, so I had to get subbed out. But it was a fun time nonetheless.
So you don't play anymore, or just so often?
I was supposed to play with a 40s team, but with COVID, it was canceled. So next year, maybe.
All right. In the nationals, the nationals was supposed to be in Minneapolis, right?
The Open Nationals is right.
Wait, let me tell you that I had here Patty Rolfe, the referee, 2 months ago, and she actually invited me next year to referee in the nationals. I was a referee for a long time here in Mexico, and Patty told me, "Hey, we always need referees. Come on, the next year." And I told her, "Yes, of course, I'll be there."
Okay, well, I shall see you then. Okay, so this is why we were waiting out to meet the president. There is this one,
Michael,
Michael Phelps. Yes, come
the
on.
human fish.
Yes, yes, Michael Phelps, and I'm not sure all the other great Olympians, but yes, there we are.
I don't. I can't recognize him.
Well, Michael Phelps is with the glasses.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Okay, so this was at one of our reunions, and that's Carol Lewis, Carl Lewis's sister, and Jackie Washington, both track athletes.
Wow. Of your generation?
A bit older. There's Ogana and her husband. So that's where I said that I had met Kristen Klein at her wedding.
Right.
Ogana is now a doctor. Yes, so she's looking to do great things and healing and helping people.
Great.
So sometimes we're invited. This year I stayed in Los Angeles after the game in 2012. I stayed for like a month afterwards. And we were invited to the red carpet for the Expendables. And so there was myself and I think That's Ryan Lockett on the red carpet.
Wow, great.
And so I took this picture. He's a comedian. And my friend recognized him. I was like, okay, I'll take a picture. Does anyone know who this is? He's a comedian.
But he recognized you.
No, well, my friend recognized him and he's
Okay.
there. So I just took the picture. Then I'll have the memory.
Why not?
There's a couple of those in there. So if anyone knows, this is Terry Crews. We get to see him once a week with AGT.
Oh yeah.
Yes, met his wife as well. I think I included the picture of him and his wife as well.
He played football, right? Well, I remember him well from the Longest Yard movie.
Oh,
Well,
I don't know. I know that he did some other comedy movies.
no, well, The Longest Yard is a movie of a football with Adam Sandler and with Burt Reynolds and Terry Crews acts there.
Ah.
It's a great football movie. But actually, I think he played some pro football at some time.
Oh, okay. Well, he's got the body. He's muscular, strong.
Yes.
Okay, so that's my friend Brandy, and she actually has a candy store called Bee's Candy. They've got these great chocolate-covered gummies. Oh my gosh, and the toffee is so good. So I'm glad she's in Orange County and I'm here, so I don't have access to that every day. And if anyone knows who that is, I don't know. This is another actor, so I just took pictures. They said they were famous. I was like, okay, let's take a picture. Cheese.
I don't know who is he.
Anybody else
You
know who this is? Help. Okay, so here we go. So every year we get to meet, after the Olympics, we're invited to meet the president. And so this was my photo opportunity. I passed my camera back to the person behind me to capture this moment. So behind me, you see Joe Biden. I took that picture. And then next you see President Obama's ear. And you were supposed to get me getting a picture, shaking his hand, but that did not happen.
I can see clearly.
This is the picture that I was left with. So if you go forward in a couple, you'll see what I had to do. So with Joe Biden, he was, been boarded. I couldn't quite get right next to, but I was like, okay, this is fine. I've got the picture.
But did you get your picture with Barack or not?
No, that's all I have.
All the travel to DC and not having the picture.
However, I have a great story. So when he came out, actually, First Lady Michelle Obama came out first and announced the disappointing news that the president would not be able to join us because he had some other things on the calendar. And we were like, what? We always get to meet the president, right? And so then a little bit later, she says, no, you know what? He's changed the schedule and he is going to come out. So he comes out, but it's not organized. Every other time that we've met a president, they're fixed in one spot and we're arranged to come in a way that's orderly. Well, they did not prepare, apparently. So when he came out, everyone kind of rushed that way to him. And so I don't know if I included the picture, but on my flight over, I said, I like to draw. I'm going to draw this picture that I took off of Essence magazine of President Obama and the First Lady Michelle. I'm going to draw a picture, and when it's my time, like having that egg signed, I'm going to have him sign this picture. Well, so everything was chaotic, and so it didn't go according to how I planned either. So everyone goes back. It's like, if you guys don't settle down, then I won't be able to meet you guys. And so right in the front were all the Paralympians. So he went down, he shook their hands first, and then there was just one moment where he was alone, standing there. And I said, this is my time. This is my opportunity. So I go up to him. I said, I know it's a little chaotic, but if you can sign this, please, I'd really appreciate it. And he looks back up at me over his head and he says, he didn't say anything, but it was the look. And then he took his pen with his left hand and he signed it. I was like, thank you very much, Mr. President. So I do not have that picture because it was flooded away. I have a picture of the picture, and I'm not sure if I included it there, but I have the picture where I had started to draw the picture of him. It was not completed yet, but I got his autograph. So I have a picture of the picture somewhere in my archives. Yeah.
Oh, well, here's the first lady.
Yes. So actually, I was the first to get a hug. She was right there in front of me. Actually, they both were. And then that was at a point where they said, okay, if you can't get organized, we won't be able to meet everyone. But before they stepped away, I stepped in and I got an embrace. I was like, oh, I was the first to hug First Lady Michelle Obama.
Great memories, right?
Yes. So, and as you can see, my arm is extended there. So that's my own selfie stick. Yes. Having long arms. So that's my dad and I and my daughter after a basketball game. So he's really been great. My mom passed in 2015, and he's really been around. And I actually got divorced in 14 was official, but in 12. And so he's really stepped up a lot as a father figure for my daughter. And so he shows up and he comes and he helps. He actually built her stage not long ago. My contractors were supposed to do it and it didn't happen 2 years ago. So finally, she's got a stage where she plays her ukulele and she can sing and have her little fun in the playroom. Oh, that's another picture. So that was for the Hall of Fame induction for the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, which I was in a class with. Actually saw Skip Bertman there. He was a famous coach for baseball coach from LSU. But Les Miles was in that class, and Peyton Manning was in that class, and Roger. Gosh, I mean, it was a great class. That's all I'm going to say. So you can look it up.
Great.
Oh, and there's the one with Ari Selinger. So that's whom I played for in Japan for Pioneer. Pioneer, Pioneer. We had a song that we had to sing, a company song that we get together and we sing. And Miss Ruth Nelson.
Right. Those are all the pictures, Danielle.
I had so many more, but I was just like, okay, that's enough.
It has been perfect. I think that a picture always help a lot to tell better the story. Thanks a lot for sharing those pictures, Danielle.
Yeah, no problem. My pleasure.
But let's talk a little about we talk a lot about Atlanta, but about your next Olympics. How was the experience? The second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth, the two medals in the Olympics. How was that experience for you?
Okay, so in 2000, we were a young team, as I mentioned before, and we weren't expected to do very well from the outside. I mean, as an Olympian, as an athlete who's training and going for our goal, obviously we didn't share that sentiment, but because we were such a young team, we weren't expected to do as well. And so that year, we ended up playing against Brazil for the bronze medal and ended up losing. So we were the underdogs, but that we played for a bronze. Obviously, if we wanted to medal, we wanted to get a gold. That was how that year ended. And so each time we didn't achieve gave me fuel, to like, okay, we can do this. And so after that, I went to play abroad and then came back. And Yoshida was the coach. From assistant to head coach was named head coach. And we trained. Again, we were ranked number one. He too sometimes would allow me hit back row with the slide and things from the back row. And then we went on that year. We were again ranked number one. We were supposed to win a medal that year. But there were some team dynamics that happened, and we ended up finishing tied for fifth. So with that, though, was the first year we didn't play fifth through eighth. And somehow my name was put in the transportation system. So it was the first time I really got to explore a bit of the country. It was in Greece. And so I go down to the transportation center and I say, hey, I need a car to go meet my family here or there. And I was able to explore Athens. So although the volleyball didn't go well, it was a fun memory in terms of being able to explore the city and see some of the sights, right, with my family. And then in 2008, that was pretty cool. Oh, but I was retired on the way back by the president. I always have to share that story. So Al Monaco, on the way back, we finished tied for fifth, and he puts his arm on my shoulder and he says, you've really done a lot of great things for the sport. And I just want to appreciate you. And as I'm hearing these words, I'm like, wait a minute. Is he saying that I'm done? And so I'm like, wait, are you retiring me? He's like, no, no, no. And so from that point, every time we see each other, I kind of remind him of that. I went on to make, obviously now, two more Olympics. And so that was very disappointing for those. And it's unfortunate that we look at the Olympics as the outcome of winning a gold medal, right? Or medaling. And so after those games, so we had the 2008 games, and we were not necessarily expected to do great. We had a bit of a turnover, but we had a lot of fire within the player and returning players to do well. And we actually ended up winning a silver medal that year too. It's not my story, but there was a friend of a former teammate rather from 2004, Olympian. Her parents were attacked. And it's something about when you're playing for something more than yourself. This games end up being kind of dedicated to her and her family and what they went through. And it kind of united our team a little bit more. And we ended up winning the silver medal that year. And so it was great that we finally won a medal. But when you win the silver, it's losing the gold. And so I don't think I fully appreciated it at the time, even though finally, fourth Olympics was a charm that I got a medal. But again, like it's that you win the silver, but you've lost the gold kind of idea. But that didn't make me at any point feel like, okay, I couldn't do it again. It left that taste like, can I go for it again? And Fafon had just done 5 Olympics. And so that was my next quest. So after having my daughter, that was probably the toughest Olympics for me to make, because I was not only fighting like being a single parent, but also being older and such. And so, and all the doubts that were around me, but when everyone said no, in my mind was like, yes. And so I was blessed to be given an opportunity to show what I could do, to be a good teammate. And because at that point, and that I saw that it wasn't just, again, the level of play, because all the medals are good, right? Everyone at that level is good, but then it comes down to who's going to be the best teammate, who's going to be the person to try to, who can accept, the role. At that point, I was a role player. And shoot, if I made my 6th Olympics, I was ready to dab sweat. What, you need a towel? Not for real, but also be ready to go in, right? And so making those games, to be able to have my daughter there was really a precious time. To go through that with teammates like Taiba Hanif Park, who had just had her son, and players like Courtney Thompson, was my setter. So I didn't mention her. See, I knew I was going to mention someone and forget someone. And so
she was a great setter.
Yeah. So I'm like, I knew I was going to forget someone, but she was really pivotal in helping me make that last Olympics. We helped each other. And so, I'm sure you've heard her story of being down in the 3rd court and being doubted and things. And so it was really like that. So we wanted to prove that we could make it, we can contribute. And so for me to make those 5th games was really amazing, because again, it was, I was older and people didn't think that I could do it. And so when I was actually called into the room, I really didn't know how to respond. So they had us up in a room. They were in the office, and there were 2 exit places. Like you could leave from the front, or you could leave from the back. And as I came in, I didn't see anyone come out. So I was like, okay, well, Lord, you know what's going to happen. We're going to rest in you with this. And so I go into the room, I sit down, it's all the coaches are there. So we've got, Paula Weisoff, she actually was pivotal too in me making the games because it was a little hard. Sometimes without knowing it, you get either more sets or less sets, and then you're statted on that. And so how do you show what you can do if maybe sometimes you're only getting the sets that you can only tip over, right? And so she arranged for us to have Paula Weisoff, a middle versus middle, which you had to be set, whether in a good position or not, and then just do something with it, right? Show what you can do. And so she really helped, give me that opportunity to show that I can compete still. And so anyway, I go in the room and I sit down and I'm just waiting to see how this is going to go. And he starts talking. I don't even remember much of what he said outside of "you made the team, congratulations." I was like, and I stood up. I was like, wait. And I sat back down and I stood up. I was like, wait, can I hug you guys? So I went around the room and I gave hugs. And then they said, you can exit from the front or from the back. And I chose, even though I made it, to exit through the back, just so I could celebrate and say my thanks and praise that, Lord, we did it, And then I called my mom and told my family. And so that was that moment. That was really a proud moment because it really took digging deep and going against, all the different obstacles of, my mom not being able to be in the gym, the salary being cut, the stipend being cut, having to pay for my own rent, like all of these things where it would have been easy to just give up. But I believed and I wanted to be a part of this team, to contribute in whatever way I could. And then it happened. So sometimes it doesn't happen that way for you, and you have to find some resolve and some positivity around it so that you can move forward. But there's always a reason why things happen or not. But I was blessed in this moment to be able to make it. And so that picture you saw, I did want to compete in the 6th Olympics, but the coach, Karch, decided to go a different direction. And it ended up being divine because I learned that my mom was terminally ill. So I was able to be there for her without any distraction, because I know she would have encouraged me, no, go live your life, do your, fulfill your dream. That's how supportive she was. But I was able to be there for her. I was able to take time to just be a mom and not have to split my time. So so that's my journey through my Olympics. Really, really fun times and moments. I guess if I would have done anything differently, which I did more my last Olympics, was to try to know my teammates better. And what meant a lot to me was for Lindsay to say Lindsay Berg to say that she was really enjoying playing with me this time around. It's like, oh, how was I before? But just to know that I was actually trying to get to know the athletes, my teammates better, versus being so focused on how can I improve while helping the team in volleyball, versus knowing, hey, we like the same types of movies. Oh, you're having wine testing at your house? Okay, I don't drink much, but I can have a little sip, right? But just going out of my way to know my teammates, when sometimes I wanted to just be home with my daughter and mom. But that I took those efforts was really, I think, pivotal to me making the team one, but also enjoying the journey. I think my last Olympics, I was able to enjoy the process a little bit more. And if I were to do any one thing differently in my career, would be to enjoy the full experience, not just so focused on the ultimate goal of making the team. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing, Danielle. Thanks for sharing. Great story. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Uh, hey, I have heard that a lot of people think sometimes that you are regular Bill McKenzie from Cuba,
Oh, yes.
the lefty.
Did you find a picture?
Let me Google it, but tell us about that.
Right. So when we were in, I think when we were in the Volley Master Games, this was before it was renamed to something else in Switzerland, in Montreux. It was the Montreux
In
game.
Montreal, yeah.
BC Cup or something like that back when, and then it was called the Volley Masters or some type of games like that. And so there was a poster all over advertising the games, and it was me, but from the profile, it really looked like Pegla Bell, the Cuban left side player. And so, you know, we always are told that we have a twin somewhere else in the world. And I tell you, from our profile, we really look a lot alike. And if there's someone else I'm to look alike, why not Rekla Bell? She was one of the best, you know, outside lefties that there was. Hey Lou, I see you just joined.
Okay. Uh, I'm looking for the picture. Give me a minute.
Find
Uh,
it, but I
Regular,
remember.
regular. But it's not the Volley Masters picture, but it's another. Let me open it. Regular, regular. I know the Cuban team very well because they came to Mexico every year to make altitude training,
Hmm.
3 or 4 weeks a year. So yeah, you look like her. Here's the picture. Well, there are a lot of pictures, but
Yeah,
maybe in the distance you can be confused.
maybe, yes.
Yeah, maybe, right. How was your relationship in those years with the Cuban team? I remember. Do you remember very well the fight between Brazil and Cuba in Atlanta in '86 and then in Japan in '88? But how was the relation between the USA team and the Cuban team at that time?
Yeah, we were very cordial. I think there was a mutual respect, and also, you know, we would actually bring things for them, like shoes or knee pads, exchange jerseys and things afterwards. So we had a good relationship. We didn't have any kind of battle against each other. But I can tell you, there was one time that we were in a warm-ups. It was before the 2004 games. It was a tournament before then. Maybe it was like a Grand Prix or something. And so we were warming up against Brazil. And one of their players, so when you're warming up, you have both the setters at the net and you're supposed to hit down the line.
Yeah.
So players hit in the middle of our line and hit our coach. It was Kevin Hambley. He's the coach over at Stanford now, hit him. And I was like, and we were all like, oh no, this is not going down like this. So sometimes the setters would cross, like if this is the net, they would stagger a bit. So the middle coming up, that setter would be right in front of them. I was like, Robin, set me 50-50. And so I did my best to like take hands off or hit her on the head. But that was the only time. And it cooled off pretty fast after that. There was no Kiva Phipps was on the team. She was pretty fired up. We did have to kind of pull her back because she was ready to throw down.
But you, as other team, the USA, how do you look, or you especially you, how do you look this rivalry of the between Cubans and Brazilians? They were for real, or they was just part of the show?
Well, I think it was for real. And actually, looking back, I saw a video with Mireya and the girls, Verna, talking about that time. And it was a full on strategy that, you know, we as the opponents of Cuba always tried to make them, to make the opposing team, especially Cuba, fight against each other because we know if we got them emotional, then they would start to fight and then we can keep our momentum and eventually win the game. Well, Medea had this tactic and strategy against Brazil. So they started saying names. And at this point, according to the video, they were really good friends. Like us, you know, Brazil would bring things and they would do exchanges. And so Medea started to say things to them and all the girls, you know, to provoke them, and I think that's how it came about. But I know some of the words, like in Brazil, they will say "chupa," that means you suck, and that's something that really would make you like, "What? I suck? Okay, this ball, right? You know, and can kind of get a not so great energy, but a competitive energy. And if you don't keep that under control, it could end into the brawl that they eventually had.
Yes. Well, next week on this Friday, the same time, I will have here Mireia Luis. How you can join us.
Yeah, I hope so too. I need to put it on the schedule.
Danielle, at that time when you were playing, well, you playing a big span of time or a big window of time, but which were you play always in the middle?
Right. So I'm what I call old school. So I was trying to play all positions and even at Long Beach. And when I played for Ari Salinger, I played right side, I played outside. I actually played once outside against Cuba
Oh,
and
you
we
really?
yes, for our national team. That was during when Jenny Longping was the head coach. But yeah, I've played all positions, and in fact, 2 years ago with our opens team, I went in as defensive specialist. So they didn't know not to serve me, and I passed a few good balls, and so it was fine. But I've played outside, I've played right side, but middle. I like to say hitter is my position. You know, they say middle blocker. No, we're offensive too. That was my position. Yeah, so middle mostly. But I played so whenever there was an unfortunate injury, I was always the person who could adjust and play right side, or I could adjust and play left side. The
Perfect.
time I set was when at one time we had a system where when the setter passed before the libero, the middles would set. And also my senior year in high school, I set.
And did you ever play the beach volleyball or never tried?
Right. I thought I mentioned a little bit earlier, but yes, we played 4 person when we had the 4 person tour with Norelco, and then I've only played a couple tournaments like the AVP. We played two.
Oh,
Um,
yes, you told me, yeah, before. And when you were playing at the international level, I will not say which do you think was the best player. I will say which player challenged you the most. Which was the most difficult players for you to block or for attack or something like that.
Right. I would say more in terms of strategy. So I think playing Brazil with Fafon as a setter, she did a really good job as a setter to look at the block. And so I would try to play this game with her. You know, she look at me, I take a move like false steps. She made it really difficult to block her team. I think when Gamova first came onto the scene, the angles she was hitting was really hard to block. I think the system of like China and Japan and now the Thailand, you know, they move around so much. Like if you don't get focused on just watching the ball to the setter and seeing the hands, you can get caught up in that. And so at a point in my career, that would drive me crazy. So I think I would talk more in terms of team and systems versus one particular athlete.
And in your position as a middle, which player do you think was the most difficult to play against? Magali Carvajal or Regla Torres, the two Cuban middles.
Yeah, I would name them for sure. They both were amazing players. I would say for blocking, Torres. For attacking, um, let's see. No, I'm sorry. For attacking and blocking their attack, would say Torres. For blocking, I think Medea. Like she was like over the ball like this. Like it was like a wall there. But yeah, I would definitely name those two as pretty much top athletes.
Right. Um, what which are which no? What are your projects right now, Daniel? In which projects are you working besides volleyball, of course?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier I work with a company called Primerica. So I do investments and I do life insurance through that. I also now I'm working on writing a book, so I'm excited about that. I've signed up with a program to write a book. Hopefully, it's supposed to be released somewhere around September. As well as I do the public speaking and I train private lessons. Those are some of the things that I'm doing. A lot of that has been paused because of the COVID-19. But something that people can still find is the relationship that the IOC has made with Airbnb with online experiences. So there's, I think they said 139 Olympians who are presenting online experiences, and I have two. So one of those is a 5-country tour. Actually, I give 2 bonus tours of all of my Olympics, and then I share some of the things I shared here, plus some other things. I teach a dance session, very short, with the tour, and then I finish with a travel, the start of a travel vision board. So that's one. And the other is volleyball related. So basically, I have all the different skills that I can go over with you, and you can send in a volleyball clip, and I can analyze that for you. And then we do a travel vision board as well as Q&A for both of them. If you have questions throughout, you can ask questions. So it's
Wow.
fun. Yes, it's one's an hour and a half. The tour is an hour and a half, and the volleyball is 1 hour. Oh, and also with the volleyball one, you do a short hit workout. So you get to do a little training, physical workout with me.
Wow, that's great. Good
Yeah,
to
so
know.
definitely things, but it's been fun and really keeping me busy as I'm growing my Danielle Scott Enterprises, again, which covers mostly the speaking and the volleyball. But I'm really trying to make it a solid foundation.
Well, that's great. I hope we can make something together in the future.
Yes, I look forward to it.
Daniel, I know that in Louisiana you have great, great food, but this is an obligated question.
Yeah.
Which Mexican food do you like the most?
Oh, which Mexican food I like the most? Um, hmm. So I'll have to say I like the quesadillas, like something really simple, just a quesadillas. I like what are they? What are things? Not just a taco. I like the tacos too, but it's called fajitas. I like the fajitas. So you make your own,
Fajitas.
yeah, you make your own burritos from that. So yeah, there
Yeah,
was the things, but I'm sure you can teach me or tell me about something more particular when
yes,
I
of
can.
course.
Yes. So actually, with one of the online experiences, I took one with I think her name was Marisol, but it's about Day of the Dead. And she taught us how to make the sugar skull. And I had no idea. She's like, oh, it's edible. You can eat it. And I was like,
Yes, it's sugar.
I don't think I'm going to eat this. So after we molded it and shaped it up, so it's just with powdered sugar with lime, and you mix it and you shape it, and then you can use dyes to decorate it, which I had
Yeah.
fun with my daughter doing it. And then she's like, well, you can eat it. I was like, oh, I don't think I'm going to eat it. She's like, did you taste it? So I tasted it. And oh my gosh, it was so good. Pure sugar, but it was so good. Combination. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yes, yes, yes. You have a lot of good food, but in Louisiana you have a great Cajun food.
Yes, we do. And so
Good.
I am not a super occasion cook. That was my sister. But I really enjoy like the gumbo. I like gumbo here. The jambalaya is really good here. The etouffees are good. If you like gravies, those are good. Um, Something that's typical of this region are the like crawfish. So it's really hard. I get tired of eating them really fast because you have to take and peel them and get the part out. But the crawfish are really good when you do the crawfish boils. Those are really fun and good and a time to hang out with family. Yes.
Great. Danielle, it has a great, great time. 2 hours went like water. I
Yeah.
really, really enjoyed this talk. I really appreciate that you accepted the invitation. Thanks to Lori for making the connection. I don't know if you want to send some final words, final conclusion of this very, very entertaining talk. And again, thank to you for accepting this invitation.
Oh, yes, thank you. Well, I guess a message, I would say, I guess in this time, there's so much uncertainty going on, um, that with like the COVID and with everything that's going with social injustice and change, I would say to just find your place in that. Don't get caught up into what everyone else is doing, but find your place in what's going on. So, in what part of the movement maybe you want to be involved in. There's so many ways to be involved. So, I've actually decided to support the EJI, the Equal Justice Initiative, which concerns mass incarceration. While I find sometimes that it's ironic that I've been in a situation where I'm awaiting someone to be sentenced, um, that I'm supporting something about releasing people who were unjustly sentenced, right? And this whole ideal of um, profiling and how the system is set up to, I guess, oppress and keep people in a certain space. So I've decided to focus on supporting in the ways that I can Equal Justice Initiative, which has a great reentry program into society for those who are released. I know it was in the news recently, Maya, the WNBA player who helped get Jonathan Irons released, that there's a place for him to continue life after being incarcerated for that period. Um, and also just during this COVID time, find something, some way that you can do some self development, some self improvement, and really utilize this time of being in quarantine and how you're looking at it, not being a punishment or taking away your rights, for being able to go out and be free, but really find a way that you can grow during this time and have something to look back on and say, during this time, I was able to, write a book. I was able to create a program that I can help and impact. So I would encourage people to do that, find ways that they can be a part of the movement, and also find ways that you can self improve. And so those are things that I'm working on so that I can help people through that journey as well.
Okay, thanks a lot, Daniel. And well, in my side, I decided to start this project. We are in episode number 80. Thanks a lot for being my 80th guest. And yes, I think we the people of volleyball are responsible to grow the game, and not other people. We the people of volleyball, we have to the duty to help to grow the game. In 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 in, in in this occasion for me is doing these talks with people from around the world of volleyball, and well, I hope that somebody can be a little inspired about that. I will be very grateful.
Yes, thank you once again for having me on. And I will be seeing you, even if you don't see me. I can watch you in your program. So I appreciate that.
Yes, I hope like we can talk with Tara Cruz Barrel to invite her here to the show. I hope you can help me. And Ruth Nelson also may be a great invite. Well, what about Tajiba Hanif Park could be great also.
Yes.
I
So
hope I hope you can help me with that.
keep it going for a long time. Yes.
Okay. Well, Daniel, thanks a lot again, and keep safe, please. Stay at home the more possible, and I hope to see you pretty soon in some volleyball court.
Yes. Okay. Thank you and good night.
Okay. Goodbye.